Are you prepared? We're prepared pretty much for everything. We want to make sure that if there's a storm coming, we have enough water and batteries and flashlights and all that kind of stuff so that we will be safe. And we like to feel secure. And when we don't feel secure, we will be anxious and stressed and depressed. And one of the things we need to prepare for, but always don't want to face, is the fact that someday you and I are going to die. Nobody gets out of this world alive. And so we have to prepare by taking care of all of our material possessions. So what do? We go and we get an attorney and we file what's known as our last will and testament. In other words, we do estate planning. And in our last will and testament, what we do is we make sure that all the physical and material possessions that we've worked our whole life for are going to be passed on to our inheritance of our children or grandchildren or charity or whoever it is that you want them to have. And if you don't, then the state will make sure that they take care of your property and it won't go where you wanted it to go. And we do this on a regular basis. Maybe we don't do it as much as we should because we don't want to face that last moment, death. Death is just as much part of life as life. It's just as much part of life as birth. It's a cycle. We're born, we grow up and develop, and then we die. But are we prepared for the end? Do we have a last will and testament with the most important thing in our life, which is our eternal estate? Is our estate worthwhile passing on to the next dimension? How have we prepared for the next dimension? And that's what we have to do now, while we're alive and well and conscious and aware of our surroundings. We have to prepare for our life after death. And how do we do that? We do it by putting into perspective all the important things that we need to have in order. And what are some of the things that we need to have in order to make sure that our estate is preserved for the next dimension? Well, first of all, we have to look at our soul. What is the condition of your soul as you prepare to enter into the estate in the next dimension? Is your soul in a decent condition? Or is it run down and dilapidated and abandoned? Well, first of all, you have to take a look at yourself and see who you are before the God that loves you. Because He's the one that you're going to be living with in that estate in eternity. And that relationship has to grow and develop every single day. That relationship has to be the number one thing that motivates you and that guarantees you life after death in the estate that you had planned for and that He has planned for you. So take the time to get to know Him, to get to love Him, to get to serve Him, to look at your life and see the important things that are needed to put that last will and testament into a condition where it will be the best one that you could ever have for entrance into the world next door. When God says to you He loves you, how are you going to respond when you say, I love you back? And at some time, only He knows, we don't, that final knock will come. And He invites you for the last time to come and be with Him for eternity. But if your eternity is going to have any kind of meaning, it has to have a good will and testament. And not only just in words, it has to be lived out. And so why don't you now take time to prepare your estate for the future? Love God now, increase that love, give Him the praise and glory that He needs, develop that relationship, and make sure when your last breath comes, your will and testament can be fulfilled in an estate that you cannot believe, in eternity with God forever.